Is there any discussion? Okay, so we're moving 5.2 to the beginning of the agenda. Can I have an approval, motions to approve the agenda as amended? Second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, FFA. And are you guys going to use the podium?
No.
Okay.
Where do you want to stand? Right in front?
On this side. Go that side.
They could come over here. They could come to this side. Yeah, if you come to this side so you could be on YouTube. So exciting. And you have a PowerPoint on the side, it looks like.
Yeah.
So they do have a presentation.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We are your 2016-2017 Hamilton FFA officer team this year, and I'd like to start with everyone introducing themselves, first and last name, and their role in office this year.
My name is Shelby Curtis, and I am the Sentinel.
My name is Jack Ballard, and I'm the president.
My name is Maddie Gibbons, I'm the reporter.
I'm Kayla Rowe, I'm the treasurer.
I'm Melissa Grumman, I'm student advisor.
I'm Kelly Bassett, and I'm the vice president.
I'm Michaela Jones, I'm the secretary.
I'm Sam Cable, future president.
Welcome.
And we are here tonight to present our national FFA convention trip in the end of October. We got the opportunity to go to Indianapolis, Indiana to attend the National FFA Convention. And we're just going to tell you what we learned there and our experiences. And Sam, started.
All right, one of the first days we went there, we got to go on a tour of Fair Oaks Dairy, which is 2 hours north of Indianapolis. Fair Oaks is one of the largest dairy farms in the United States. They milk over 30,000 cows there. And what they do there is they have tours for the public, and they educate the public on modern agriculture. And they have plenty of activities for people to do. And there's a birthing center where people can see calves born. And that's very interesting. People have never seen that.
On our way to Indianapolis to go to national convention, we stopped in Cleveland, Ohio to see the Cleveland Museum's natural history. We got to see their archaeology, astrology.
once during each participation opportunity and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any questions should be directed to the board and not to the administration or to staff. Anyone who wishes to have a matter placed on the agenda discussed during a regular monthly meeting should feel free to contact the board via email, boe@5
some people who have 10-year-old computers, and there are some that do not. And as I was looking at the distribution, it doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason as to, again, back to that replenishment cycle. You know, how many people get, or how many devices does a person get, etc. So some people maybe only have one desktop in their room, and some people have 3 or 4 devices. So it's not really uniform. So that's something that I'm looking to delve a little bit further into. Okay. Our systems and our networks. So, beginning of school was kind of like, oh, I didn't know anybody. And all sorts of emails coming in, here's new students, here's new staff, this one's leaving, this one's not leaving. Basically all of our systems at this point require, mostly me, to manually enter account information into all of our separate systems. There's a way to do it so that you can put it into one and have it go to all of them, but it's manually entered now into every single system that we use. So that's inefficient and it leaves margin for error. I again haven't seen a procedure or process in place for that, like a sheet that says, here's what this staff member needs. So that's something that I'm going to hopefully develop shortly. Active Directory is our big, that's where we put all the users who log into computers. And that can actually do more than what it's doing right now. Right now, we just use it to create accounts. But it can help track the inventory. It can assist in syncing up those other platforms. But right now, it's only being used for users. And the last one. Probably in the next month or two, my main focus will be to start auditing more of all our systems. We have many more users in our systems than we do population here at HCS. And that's between Google, Schoology, and Active Directory. So teachers or staff who have left are still in there, in some cases. Students who've graduated, still in there. So as I come across them, I've been deleting, but it's going to take an act of God, I think, to get it all cleaned up shortly.
Do you have any idea how many?
They're all every single platform's different. I know there were over 500 in Google.
Yeah, that's the one I was wondering about.
Yeah, in Google alone there were over 500. Active Directory, thankfully I have the person from the MORIC, her name is Mary Valentine, she's a network administrator. She's going to be taking Active Directory to a whole new level and hopefully clean that up. The last thing I wanted to, last couple things, security. I had Data Automation come in with MORIC and do a security assessment. And just to summarize very quickly, we are about 8 years behind neighboring school districts with our security. So they have written a report, have some recommendations in there, and I will be happy to share that information. All right. Processes and procedures. So these are the ones that I'm noticing a really good opportunity to put into place would be personnel and student users. Developing something that's streamlined. Debbie and I have actually tested something with a form before to see if that works. Issue reporting. We have started getting a help desk up and running that keeps track of all of the work orders that come in, time they come in, time they're finished, work notes along the way. That is on hold until we get all 3 of our systems in sync. So until AD, Active Directory, and Google match, we really can't do much with that help desk system. Other processes and procedures, just inventory and replenishment is a big one. If you want software or an app for your iPad or something, having a request form that is important. And requests for embedded PD. So if somebody wants help with Google, I'd love to be able to help them. Here's how you do it. Here's how you sign up for that. So that's another procedure. Lastly, just to keep you informed, we have convened all of our technology subcommittees. We've had an elementary meeting. We had a high school, middle school meeting. We did a SWOT analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The technology department here in HCS. And at the beginning of this week, we actually had our community technology committee, during which send out an overview of, kind of what we're focusing on this year and how, we're hoping that they can help with some feedback as to how to move things along. So, thank you again. I know it was a lot of really dry information, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Brings us to the great French trip that's proposed. So can I get motions to approve the French 4 trip to Montreal, Canada on April 18th and 19th, 2017, as recommended by the secondary principal and superintendent, contingent upon meeting all planning requirements of the administration. Please note that the board reserves the right to cancel trip if circumstances should arise concerning the safety of students. Any discussion? Great trip. Yeah, that's gonna be wonderful. All in favor? Aye. Can I get motions to approve the annual professional performance review plan as outlined in Ed Law 3012D and Subpart 33 of the Commissioner's Regulations as recommended by the superintendent? Any discussion? Just a huge thank you to people who worked on this. This is hard stuff. So thank you so much to everybody. All in favor? Yeah, the regulation. All in favor? Okay, I also need motions to approve policy 1020.1, which is a regulation, as recommended by the superintendent. Any discussion? All in favor? Motions to approve the district comprehensive improvement plan as recommended by the elementary principal and the superintendent. Any discussion? All in favor? We have several committees that hopefully will form. Can we get motions to approve the formation of the following committees as recommended by the superintendent? A budget advisory committee, we discussed that last year, a curriculum committee, an innovation committee, and a master scheduling committee.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in
Just,
fa- go
actually,
ahead.
I was gonna, timelines. What
Yeah.
were you
Yeah.
thinking for timelines?
Yeah. I think
And all of those.
some have different priorities than others, so the Budget Advisory Committee would need to work along the timeline as the budget calendar that you'll be looking at. And ultimately, I haven't formed the timeline, but obviously we want to have it coincide with the end of the year and the strategic plan. But you generally find out, once you have the initial group in the room and you start playing with calendars, when they're going to meet and what we're going to accomplish. That will tie into the strategic plan, which I will talk about in the update. So know that it is going to be aligned, and hopefully this will feed in and we'll be able to make a recommendation, almost like a grand deal at the end of the year in terms of areas that we want community input to help us create a sustainable common north for the district.
The curriculum committee too, does that feed in?
Yes.
Everything on.
Yeah. And there may be more.
So they all say a broad representation from across the district. What was your sense of the same stakeholders that we've talked about for all the other groups, or is going to be different stakeholders for?
When you mean the individuals on the committee?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking for individuals, parents, teachers, business owners, and what we're finding is, they're so far so good. The price that individuals have to pay to stay in a great community and maintain what we have is going to be volunteer and sharing some of the brain power. As I've indicated in the past, the path that we've been going down is not a sustainable path if all conditions existed similarly. So if we can tap into some of the community resources and come up with some innovative ideas and just look at things, we'll be better off. And so far, so good. I've met with individuals who haven't been on committees before and are willing to go for it. And, you know, we had our first HISP meeting, and those were people who some I've never seen in the building other than, you know, to take their straight business for their children. So far, so good. And anyone here tonight, if you'd like to be on the committee, it's on the website. It's been emailed out. It'll be emailed out again. We have a video clip just kind of outlining it, and we're looking for more people. Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor? You need a motion to approve the 4-day conference to Arlington, Virginia for the Mount UN, April 6th through April 9th, as recommended by the secondary principal and the superintendent.
All second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, that brings us to information and correspondence. First we have the administrators.
Sure. I would like to share with you as promised at an earlier board meeting, comparative analysis of our region results as we compare to the component districts. And there's also a scoring summary. For the Common Core Regents exams are scored on a 5-tier system now, so I put a scoring rubric in there for you to follow. I'd like to kudos to our teachers, our students, and our staff. As you can see, as you file through this report, we exceed regional schools continually on our Regents results. So at both a mastery level and a passing level. So it's fantastic. It's a great report, and kudos to everybody that made that happen.
Mr. Dell?
Yes.
Could we post this on the website tomorrow morning?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll just give an update to East Park because a lot's happened in the since the board agenda came out. Within the last 3 weeks, we had a third parent university. I've also met with the teachers a couple of times to get their input. And after taking everything into consideration, we've decided to drop some of the original protocols that we had in place for East Park, which were 30-minute protocols for elementary primary students use and 45 minutes for primary and an hour a week for our intermediate students. And so what we've done is we've dropped the protocols. We're allowing teachers to use East Park in their classroom at their own discretion. And so teachers will communicate with families how and when they'll use that. We've kind of suggested some good times that would be during activities block. We've also put in place that it won't replace our hour-and-a-half ELA or our hour-long math block. So it will not be during those times. And then we still have an obligation to meet the needs of our our economically disadvantaged students because of the focus district. We're made a focus district. So we still want to offer them an opportunity or give them an opportunity to have something that's different than what we've done in the last year, because obviously that was not up to snuff. So what we're doing is offering an after-school class 2 days a week. It's at a relatively minimal cost. The cost will come from the $50,000 grant. There's enough money that's left over to pay 2 teachers and an aide to run an after-school program that's targeting students that were identified in the Focus District grant. We'll invite all of those students to be in the after-school class. If there's room left over, we will also invite students that are in our AIS or RTI, so students that are falling behind. We'll also invite them to participate as well too. And the teachers and I kind of came to this agreement. This was something that we all could live with. We formulated a letter, and then I put that letter out yesterday to families. So families now have that information. We emailed it. We sent hard copies. It's on my blog. I haven't heard much feedback. A couple of parents emailed me and said thank you for listening to the community. which was good. But I haven't heard anything negative. I feel like this is going to help our students that we really need to. And, again, we're not just gonna roll it out and that's it. We're going to closely monitor the data. We still have systems set in place to determine whether this works or not, doesn't work. We'll still have meetings halfway through the year when we get some of our assessment data back from NWEA to kind of look at the students that are in the program to see how they're doing, what kind of progress they're making, and then we'll do it again at the end of the year to make decisions going forward. Still Ohio. So, thanks.
Thank you. Superintendent? Oh, that's right. We put something new on the agendas because we have members of the board who are attending meetings in the buildings, steering committee meetings, and that's an easy way for us to get information from those committees on a regular basis. So, Stephanie?
Sure.
is that
So I attend the secondary steering committee, and it consists of parents, students, Bill, Dr. Alston is there, Mark Arquette, Harry Jarko, and a number of other teachers and other representatives. And we've met 3 times now, I think. We met September, October, and we just met Tuesday. And we're sort of dusting off the manual and the policies and procedures and sort of the handbook. And we began in September looking at ideas of things to focus on, and it became quickly evident that the focus of this committee is on the really shocking numbers of absenteeism. And so we're looking at ways to reduce absenteeism, ways to identify problems before they start, intervention potentials, and the group had some good ideas. Mark has put together a nice Google Docs for us to sort of all share ideas. He's been kind of dumping research in there, and we're looking for action plans at this point in time. The students on the committee are helpful, and it's a nice perspective that they bring. They bring really good ideas that I think could work, and that's refreshing. So it's a nice thing to see, and I think we'll get some actionable items out of that I think will work. And I'm optimistic, but I was very shocked at the numbers of absenteeism in our school. I mean, really shocked. So anything you wanted to add, or Mark or Gary?
I think we had a mental health presentation last night at SUNY Morrisville, and there was a bunch of community members regionally, and chronic absenteeism is a crisis, not only in this area but across the nation. And it's becoming more and more prevalent, not only absenteeism but tardiness, and it's affecting the academic outcomes of students, and it's making it very difficult for teachers to deliver quality instruction when the students aren't there. So it's really going to be a focus of ours, and we got a great committee to do it.
That's one of the things that the board is supposed to we're supposed to review the attendance data at the end of the year, or sometime during the year. And so when we get a good time to do that, maybe your committee will suggest when a good time would be.
Maybe we could do that halfway through the year?
Halfway through, but we then review the policy to see if that needs to change. And so,
Yeah, we can do that.
okay, Michelle is on the elementary student.
The elementary team has met 2 times. So far, we have reviewed the handbook and made some suggestions that will go in front of the board in the spring. We're still tweaking some of those at this time. We've also talked about goals that we would like to look at. Improving communication and the ways we communicate is something that's high on the list for us. There are multiple outlets right now, and we want to try to rein those in and make sure that parents don't have to look at 12 different places to get their information. We also want to assist with the character education that is now currently underway in the elementary wing. So we'd like to look for ways to help them. We'd also like to work a little bit on the conference structure and improving that. Kevin will speak to that in just a second. And then the last thing is to look at possibly bringing back Adopt a Classroom with Colgate. It was a program that was highly effective for quite some time, and it kind of fell off the wagon. We do know that Sherburne has that program and is a very successful program there, so we're going to look at ways to bring that possibly back as well. So Kevin.
Sure. Yeah, so conferences, we heard from both parents and teachers about conferences and not really having enough time to have a quality conference in the amount of time that we have during our conference. We have a half day on Friday and I guess you could call it a full day on Monday. It's not quite, it's noon to about 6:45 or so. And if you have 25 students in your classroom, which a couple of our classrooms do, it makes it really tight to have all of your conferences in that time. It's almost like 15 minutes with 5 minutes in between. That's a lot of students, a lot of assessments, and a lot of, you name it, to think about during that time and then communicate that with the parents. So that was one of the concerns I was hearing from both the community and from teachers. And so we put together a small team of teachers that are going to look at the conferences and the schedule of the conferences and we'll put a proposal together so that we can add some additional time for teachers and parents to be able to have longer conferences and thus have a more quality conference for parents. And that should be out very soon. Our character education program, we can talk about that too. So yeah, that's a big piece that the steering team felt was important. We're our elementary teachers have put together a PBIS team. PBIS is an official positive behavioral intervention system. It's a big systematic way of helping schools become better at everything from attendance to servicing kids. We're just kind of taking the piece from it informally, the PBIS piece, in that we're going to have a positive behavioral plan, which will include the students coming up with ideas for a positive culture in the hallway, the cafeteria, at recess, common vocabulary, common understandings, common signs that all aides teachers, that everyone would use in the building, and then have assemblies in between to kind of celebrate some of the good work that students are doing, the things that are happening as a result of the PBIS. So that's like step one to this. So excited about that as well too. Thanks.
We'll get an update from HISP.
You want me to do it?
And I've got your back.
Okay. Okay. So the HISP had its first meeting about 2 weeks ago. Great attendance. There were 2 students, several teachers and administrators, and a remarkable community knowledge bank that came to that meeting.
Pre-mortem.
What's that? Pre-mortem. Yeah. She told me you were going to do it, so I'm working on it.
All right.
So no. So what we did
Now
was
you can punt.
right. No. So what was suggested was going through what's referred to as a pre-mortem. So instead of waiting until you put a program in place and having a whole bunch of problems, trying to imagine what the worst possible problems could be, and making sure that the policy is written to try to address, correct, prevent, or compensate for those problems that could happen. And so there was a list of, I actually brought that real quick. I mean, the list of things that came out was varied and significant. And so the next step is that the group was sent home to do the homework of reviewing these issues that came up in the pre-mortems and look at the policy and identify whether the policy is appropriate for those or not. And I guess I should take a step back and say that the first decision was whether or not to even continue pursuing the policy. And the feeling of the group was yes, that the policy was at least worth pursuing to continue to follow it out and see where it takes us. And go from there. Okay, now I'm going to tag out.
Okay, perfect. You covered everything.
Policy, the program.
policy.
The program.
The proposal.
The proposal,
Okay.
yeah, that's what, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
And everything Dr. Larson said is in a video on the website, on my blog. and will be sent out tomorrow morning to the entire school community. And that's one way we're going to keep people in the loop. Short, hopefully less than 2-minute videos, because I can tell when people are reading the blogs and they're not as not so popular. but short videos, we're getting some traction on. So the part that I'm going to share about the strategic plan, that update, is that there is a video on the main page of the website. That video has gone out once to the community. It will go out a few more times, asking people to be on the core team. And the core team will ultimately serve as the big umbrella, and then there'll be task force. Task force is another name for committees, which are people who have expertise or high interest in an area. And the task force will have information and ideas that they're working through, and they'll make recommendations to the core team. The core team will vote on it and accept and move on. Where is this data coming from? There are two significant parts, and this is what set PLC and Associates apart from the other vendors who wanted to contract. They will issue surveys. Survey research, it's a mixed methodology study. Survey research to parents, community, students and teachers, and then they'll have what we call focus forums where they do structured interviews of parents, community, students and staff, and they'll have that information and they'll be able to break it out. They're licensed by the state to do this. They have a contract with the state that allows them to use this valid and reliable instrument, and it's copyrighted and it's theirs. And so that will be going out. We'll be asking people to be interviewed for no more than 30 minutes, little groups. So for us, it'll be K-5, pre-K-5 teachers, then middle school teachers, then secondary high school teachers, staff. And so it encompasses the entire working group, employees of HCS, community as well, and that's going to be a big driver. So that's what's going on with the HISP update. At the next meeting, I'll be recommending members to be on the core team to be approved. And
Strategic plan.
I'm sorry.
See, we're both doing it now.
Right. Okay. What did I say?
Yes,
Core team.
yeah.
But we'll be recommending people to be on the strategic plan core team, and that will be significant work. We would like a board member who is a non-voting member of the core team, just to be a part of the process. Administrators will be there also. The dates are on the website, and it's on my blog. So we're trying to give as much information as possible to anyone who wants to look at it. And it has been on the website for a while. Okay, here's more. So that takes care of strategic plan. Moving forward, I just want to report out that we had, the credit goes to Mr. Dowsland and the secondary teachers. We had Cornelius Minor here. Cornelius Minor doing professional development for teachers. He is easily one of the top 10 literacy experts in the world, arguably top 5. And how do you know that someone has done good work? Teachers are excited and smiling. Students are talking about the staff developer from Brooklyn who taught that class, and the principal's smiling. So anytime everyone's happy with the level of service provided, you just want to smile and say great stuff. And I'm reporting that out. Cornelius Minor from Columbia. The other thing I wanted to report out, just to keep everyone in the loop, there are we had one in November. The next one is scheduled for December 1st. This community book read, that's on the web, The Smartest Kids in the World and How They Got That Way by Amanda Ripley. Great book, great discussion on a very important topic. We are scheduled for the second one, December 1st. We're looking at days because that's a couple of other things going on in the community, so if we can get another date, that will just be swapped on the website. But I invite everyone. We gave away a few books for people interested. Colgate bookstore still has some. It's about $13. But the conversations that come around this book, particularly with people in this community who have studied abroad and went to school in different countries, bring lots of perspective in terms of what it is we're charged to do for our kids and how they experience education. Great discussion. Oh, yes. So we still have books even in-house. The next book, well, we're doing a mastermind with the leadership team and the Board of Education. The leadership team, we meet 7 times and we study the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the #1 selling leadership book in the world. And we take 3 chapters a week and we discuss the laws, the different laws, and we build upon them and get thoughts and ideas, and then we try and execute them during the week. We're doing the exact same thing with this Board of Education, and we do that Wednesday evenings at 6:30, and it's just 7 sessions. And I appreciate this board for participating because it's extra, and but everything rises and falls on leadership. You want a quality district, you want great things to happen in the future, we have to raise our lid. And if we don't raise our lids, it's not going to happen automatically. It has to be intentional. So we're trying to learn together and at least build a common understanding. So this ends, I think we're taking off December, and we'll pick up again. The last 2 are in January, and we'll be done with this mastermind. I wanted to share that. We probably will do a second community book read in the spring semester, and I forgot the name of the book, but it'll come back. More to come.
You had it yesterday.
I did. The Global Achievement Gap. The Global Achievement Gap. And so more to come on that. The next thing is, I want to inform you, and this ties to the last two things, the power of partnership. I've been very clear that we have to be intentional and strategic in our relationships with surrounding districts. I'm proud to say that Sherburne, Earlville, Morrisville, Hamilton, and Madison have partnered up to put in for a $5 million grant, which is almost, it's under 5, it's 4 and change, upper floors, not over $900,000 a year for 5 years for an after-school program called 21st Century Community Learning Centers. We have put the grant together and sent it in. I've been keeping you abreast. We've had conference calls. We're working with someone in the community who's helping us with the grant. And, you know, now it's up, and the difference, usually these grants go to more urban districts because of the high poverty. And when Trustee Monty and I, President, we're meeting with one of the regents at one of the events, we asked, what about rural schools? What's in it for us? And Regent Hankerson referred me to another regent who I knew from downstate, and we spoke the next day. He said, well, look at this grant, and we're going for it. And so we're hopeful, and we'll be politicking, and I'll be meeting with people who can help us lobby the right people, and this will provide a tremendous opportunity for students. Okay. The final thing, and I'm going to ask every HCS employee to stand for this. So if you work for HCS, would you kindly stand while I give this dramatic. I would like, and this goes again to the power of partnership. There was a newspaper article really highlighting Hamilton School District for having last year 100% graduation. All of the students made it through, and that is almost unheard of. So could we give them a round of applause? Thank you so much. I think, please, you may be seated, but I think that, you know, we have the focus district and we have sustainability problems, but the job got done in a way that it had not been done in over a decade. The last time we had 100% was, I want to say 2007?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's missing. So we're so proud of that, and you know, the power of partnership. That's my report, rather long, but worthwhile. Thank you. Sure. Sure.
Just leave it there as correspondence.
Sure. In more news, our good neighbor from up the block gave us close to $220,000, a voluntary contribution. Colgate gave us $220,000. We appreciate that. That supports our budget. It's part of our budget. That easily represents 4 teachers. We would not run the operation we run and offer what we offer without Colgate. And I'm also pleased to report that we have started great relations with the new president, and we're looking in the top leadership at Colgate. So that's an important piece to know, and we want to recognize that. That's important.
Okay, the school board decided that School Board Recognition Week meant something else to us. We have people who we need to recognize publicly, which we hardly ever get to do, and they support our meetings every single week. And sometimes they have to explain the same thing to 5 different people, 5 different times, using really small words. And the amount of institutional knowledge that these folks have is just incredible. And we have a little something for you. Dr. Alston, Mrs. Curley, Mr. Crum, Mr. Dowsland, and Kevin, thank you so much for everything you do for the board. It is really, really appreciated.
My turn? Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm saying this and acknowledging Trustee Lehman is not here to be recognized. However, this is a volunteer job. It is very time consuming, and the lid on a district, the possibilities for a district lies with the board and the superintendent. Show me a dysfunctional district, I'll show you a dysfunctional board superintendent. Show me a high-performing, high-quality district, it is good leadership. And we want to take a moment to recognize, I'm going to get this one. This is for Trustee Jacobson, excuse me. Sherry Monty.
Thank you.
Stephanie Fidel and Ellen Larson. Many nights out, away from their families and responsibilities, but here to serve what I believe is one of the most important institutions in this country, public education. So thank you for your service, from one former board member to another person who just knows that this is important. So thank you.
That brings us to our last opportunity for community participation. So if you would like to participate, please come up to the podium.
Harry Johnson. I know that I'm supposed to address the board, not the superintendent. So, but I'm just curious. So if you could ask him for me.
It's like the NCAA.
The grant that was just mentioned sounds interesting, but after-school program, could you just elaborate a bit on what that after-school program is?
Sure. You know, older I get, the smaller they make this one.
I've got readers.
Here, I got it.
No.
Agree with you.
So, 21st Century Community Learning Center is a consortium of 3 high-need rural districts, Sherburne, Oakville, Madison, Marlboro, Eaton, and an elementary school of a focus district, who, along with community partners, are proposing to provide research-based academic creative enrichment and nutrition education, providing the social emotional services targeted to students who are academically underachieving, having unmet health service needs, are vulnerable as such, and unstructured or unstable households, and have poor access to educational resources outside of school. So there's a target well, that's what the grant is for. And so, because as an individual district, we just don't qualify. But by partnering with neighbors and meeting with superintendents and trying to get that ball rolling, we qualify to be a part of it. And we might be one of the only, we will be very unique in our application, which makes me optimistic. So that's where we're at. We put our head in and we'll see where it goes, and then if we get it, then the hard work begins.
Is there a backbone and a footprint yet, or no?
What do you mean?
Like a plan? Is there a backbone of a plan of what would actually be done?
Conceptually, this has been done before, and when I was a principal in another high-need district, we had that grant. So, you know, and the facility, the person who's helping us with the grant has done this a lot. And so there would be, in his mind, I'm sure there's a game plan, I'm sure there's a game plan which he's used before. So more to come. We just want to see if we can get the money first.
Right.
Before we say, all right, let's
Spend.
plan and, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no more community participation, can I have motions to adjourn to executive session so that we can discuss matters leading to both the appointment of and the employment of a particular individual?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for
Thank
coming.
you all for coming.